Good morning, teacher and class. I am going to talk about the different music eras that we have from 1974 to the present. And I am going to talk about this topic because music is one of the things I like the most. So let's begin with analog rock and disco eras. This era was from early 70s and it was for music enthusiasts because music was made in vinyls and radio stations. There was no TV, no music videos, just the music, the vinyl that was like a disc, but in this size, and it was a player that have like a metal thing in the center, and you put the disc, and it sounds. It was like crazy to think about it now, but it was how it works. So this era was for, or it had a strategy that it looks for some music rhythms that sounds repetitive, and it was for being dancing in the dance floors. So these music eras dominate these 70s and early 80s, but at the end of the 70s there was a night that people just make like a protest for no more disco music because people were tired about this kind of music because this music sounded all day all night and they want something new, and this happened with the beginning of a new era that was MTV and Megastar era. It was from all 80s, and we have the most important pop artists in the history, like Michael Jackson, Prince, and Madonna. And this era was powered by the invention of music videos. Music videos had been in the past, in the early 16th and all the 70s era, but in this decade, we have the most important innovation on music video. And this innovation bring bring a lot of music innovation, like in a video from a rock aggregation. We have like they notice that when they put a microphone into the instrument, they sound different. So this experiment allows us to have a lot of music techniques like diffusion. And at the end of 80s and at the beginnings of the 90s, we have a new generation of pop artists and rock artists like Nirvana, Mariah Carey, and we have a new music, a new kind of music with um, with R&B and hip hop with artists like Tupac and Oasis, and this kind of music or music genre was about explain to the people with the music about the life of the suburbs of United States, and it was music about drugs, about violence, and about being on the street because it was the most important problems that they had in this era in the United States. So actually, in the 2000s, we have the invention of more music innovations like MP3 and iTunes that allows to appear a lot of pop artists that we have also today, like Beyonce, Rihanna, Kanye West, and another about hip hop and rap, like Eminem. So in this era, the music begins to the music began to be more like a business with the invention of iTunes, that it will be the beginning of the technology that we have today in the streaming and social pop era. This era was from 1910 to uh, 2010 to 2019. Sorry, and with the it was begin it had begun with the invention of Spotify and Apple Music, that it have a real impact. It has a real impact about how we listen to music today. So we have artists like Drake, Taylor Swift, and BTS that have a lot of engagement with the teenager people, and it sounds as today. And the last era that I want to talk about was global and viral streaming era. That is the era that we are living in today. So it started with the quarantine, and some platforms like TikTok or Instagram Reels allows us to discover more music that we used to, but it has some challenges about how we can to make strategies to listen music, but not as a business. So this kind of music is like more from AI invention and engagement that allows the music companies to be more successful. So I am going to talk now about what will happen if in the different music eras have we had some music platforms like Apple Music, Tidal, SoundCloud, some Music Prime, or Spotify. And the analog era, we have like the vinyl was like the principal thing on this era. With these platforms, these vinyls would be more like enthusiastic thing, and not the the principal thing in this era. With the MTV and Megastar era, the music videos innovation wouldn't be the same, because this innovation was the principal thing that artists like U2 or Houston takes a strategy to be creative and innovate the music that that they did. And the CD and global pop boom, we have that CDs was the principal innovation. So artists like Nirvana or Maria Carey will have more impact into their listeners, but the but artists like Tupac or maybe Oasis wouldn't have like the platform to shine like they did. And the last era before streaming and social pop era was digital download era. this era was more liked, like, or more similar to nowadays, but this era uh, had some artists that be more creative with videos and with their platforms like Beyonce and Rihanna. We have the Taylor Swift case that she didn't like Spotify and she retried all his songs from Spotify for a year. But these kind of artists that we have today are more familiarized with music and with the digital platforms. Nowadays, we have artists like Bad Bunny or J Balvin that are Latin American artists, and they shows to the world all the culture and all your talent and Latin American people's talent to the world. And it was able about it was able for music platforms. So it was my presentation. I hope it enjoyed us, and that's it.